The silent observer. Captain Sarah Chen stood at the viewport of the merchant vessel Phantom, watching the massive Valaxian cruiser approach through the swirling purple nebula gases. Her ship's external sensors, disguised as primitive radar arrays, recorded every detail of the crystalline vessel's approach, while appearing to do nothing more sophisticated than basic proximity detection. Incoming transmission from the Valaxian vessel. Captain, Lieutenant Maya Rodriguez, announced from her communication station, deliberately using outdated vocal commands instead of the neural interfaces hidden beneath the crew's skin. They're requesting our manifest. Again. Chen allowed herself a small smile. This would be the third routine inspection in as many weeks. The Valaxians' certainty of their technological superiority made them predictably thorough in their monitoring of what they considered primitive species. Their crystalline forms housed consciousness far more ancient than humanity's, and they never tired of reminding younger races of this fact. Acknowledge their request, Lieutenant, and please make sure our environmental controls malfunction right on schedule. Right on cue, the bridge lights flickered and the ventilation system sputtered, releasing a carefully calculated amount of harmless but visible vapor. The Phantom's apparent struggles with basic systems maintenance had become something of a running joke among Valaxian patrol crews. The massive crystalline ship drew alongside, its faceted surface refracting starlight in complex patterns. Chen could practically feel the condescension radiating from it as their sensors swept the Phantom with what they thought was undetectable precision. Captain, First Officer David Kumar's voice carried just the right note of worry. Engineering reports the port plasma conduit is showing signs of stress. Again. Noted, Number 1. I'm sure our friends will be happy to offer their expertise. They do so enjoy teaching us about proper maintenance protocols. The bridge crew maintained their carefully crafted appearances of barely holding it together competence as the Valaxian inspection team materialized on their deck. The crystalline beings towered over the humans, their translucent bodies pulsing with what Chen had learned to recognize as barely contained amusement. Greetings. Primitive vessels, the lead inspector's thoughts projected directly into their minds, another show of supposedly superior technology. We detect numerous system inefficiencies. Perhaps this time you will accept our offer of basic technical assistance. Chen bowed slightly, a gesture that made the crystals chitter with delight. We are honored by your concern, Overseer, but our budget barely covers standard operations. We could never afford your advanced technologies. Deep beneath the Phantom's seemingly decrepit hull, quantum processors more advanced than anything the Valaxians could imagine recorded and analyzed every frequency, every energy signature, every scrap of data leaked by the overconfident inspectors. The ship's true capabilities remained hidden behind multiple layers of both technological and social camouflage. The inspection proceeded exactly as the previous ones had, with the Valaxians alternating between patronizing assistance and barely concealed mockery of human engineering. They never suspected that their every gesture, every casual comment, every leaked data packet was being compiled into an increasingly detailed picture of their empire's strengths and weaknesses. Your species shows surprising resilience, the lead inspector commented as they prepared to depart. To achieve even limited spaceflight with such primitive understanding of basic physics. Fascinating. We do our best with what we have, Overseer, Chen replied humbly. Though we dream of one day approaching even a fraction of your civilization's achievements. After the inspection team departed, Chen maintained the Phantom's appearance of struggling systems for another full hour. Only then did she allow herself to access the ship's true command interface through her neural link. Report, she subvocalized, the quantum-encrypted transmission undetectable to Valaxian sensors. Data acquisition successful, Maya responded silently. Their new patrol protocols are exactly what we predicted. They're expanding their protection of human space by another 30 light-years next month. And their defenses, still completely dependent on their crystalline resonance network. They're so convinced of its superiority that they haven't even bothered to develop backup systems. Chen nodded slightly, watching the Valaxian cruiser disappear into faster-than-light travel. Forward the analysis to Fleet Command. Let's see what other weaknesses we can discover while they're busy underestimating us. The Phantom continued its seemingly haphazard course through space, its true mission hidden behind a mask of incompetence. The Valaxians would continue to laugh at the primitive humans, fumbling their way through space travel, never realizing they were helping to engineer their own downfall. In the ship's quantum core, disguised as an outdated fusion reactor, the data accumulated over months of patient observation began forming a pattern that would eventually show humanity exactly how to shatter an empire of crystal. Masks within masks. Quantum signature detected, bearing 347. Lieutenant Rodriguez reported through the neural link, her fingers maintaining their show of clumsy typing on outdated controls. It's massive, Captain. The Phantom's true sensors had detected the approaching Valaxian dreadnought long before its crystalline bulk became visible to the naked eye. Captain Chen watched through the viewport as the massive vessel emerged from faster-than-light travel, its faceted surface catching the light of 3 nearby stars. This wasn't a routine patrol ship. This was the personal vessel of High Overseer Crixtal himself. All hands. Chen subvocalized through the secure channel, deception protocols at maximum. They're about to give us a command performance. Aloud, she added in a deliberately nervous voice, engineering, status of those containment fields. Holding at 60%, Captain, First Officer Kumar replied, his apparent anxiety perfectly calibrated. But if they run another deep scan? A surge of mental energy washed over the bridge as the dreadnought established communication. The High Overseer's presence filled their minds, dripping with crystalline superiority. Attention, primitive vessel. You will prepare for immediate inspection. Your continued operation in this sector requires revaluation. Chen exchanged worried glances with her crew, all part of the act. Acknowledged, High Overseer. We're honored by your personal attention. Through the neural link, she added, Dr. Harrison, is everything in place? Ready in the lab, Captain, the ship's chief scientist replied silently. They won't be able to resist investigating our failed attempts at quantum research. The High Overseer's inspection team materialized on the bridge in a display of technological prowess meant to intimidate. Their crystalline forms towered over the humans, facets shifting in complex patterns that reflected their emotional states. Shen had learned to read these patterns over months of observation. Right now, they were radiating smugness and anticipation. We have reviewed your vessel's activities. Crixtal's thoughts boomed in their minds. Your persistent presence in Imperial space, despite your obvious technological inadequacies, has raised concerns. We're simply humble merchants, High Overseer, Chen replied aloud, letting her voice waver slightly. Though I admit we've been fascinated by your civilization's achievements. Our scientists have even attempted to understand some of your basic principles, though with limited success. The crystalline beings vibrated with amusement. Show me these attempts, Crixtal commanded. Chen led them to the science lab, where Dr. Harrison stood nervously beside what appeared to be a crude attempt at quantum communication technology. The device sparked and hummed erratically, its obvious flaws drawing more crystalline laughter. Fascinating, one of Crixtal's advisors projected. They've managed to accidentally create a reverse-phase quantum resonance. Completely useless, of course, but remarkable for their level of development. The inspection team spent hours examining the Phantom's apparently primitive systems, each moment feeding more data into the ship's hidden quantum processors. What the Valaxians saw as failed experiments and crude attempts to copy their technology were actually precisely calibrated sensors, mapping the complex frequencies of their crystalline communication networks. Your species shows both admirable ambition and amusing ignorance, Crixtal announced as the inspection concluded. However, your presence here is no longer required. You will return to human space immediately. Of course, High Overseer, Chen agreed quickly. Though, might I ask why? We've always complied with Imperial regulations. The crystalline being's facets shifted in a pattern Chen had never seen before. The Empire has decided to take a more direct interest in human development. For your own protection, naturally. After the Valaxians departed, the bridge crew maintained their facade for another full hour before Chen called a secure meeting in the quantum-shielded war room. The holographic displays showed the true extent of their data gathering, complex webs of information extracted from the overconfident inspection team. "They're planning something big," Dr. Harrison reported, manipulating the displays. "The frequency patterns we recorded from the High Overseer's team contain embedded command protocols. They're preparing for a full-scale integration of human space." "Timeline?" Chen asked, studying the data. "Based on the communication frequencies, 2 months maximum. They're positioning fleet elements under the guise of routine patrols. Once their network is fully in place, they'll be able to disable every piece of technology in human space that they think exists." Kumar finished. "A perfect, bloodless conquest of a primitive species." Chen's expression hardened as she watched the tactical displays. The Valaxians' arrogance had finally revealed their true intentions. Their mockery of human technology, their patronizing assistance, their constant inspections, it had all been preparing for this moment. "Send everything to Fleet Command," she ordered, "and prepare the quantum core for full activation. It's time to show them exactly how primitive we aren't." In the depths of the Phantom, systems that had lain dormant for months hummed to life, their power carefully contained behind layers of quantum shielding. The ship's true capabilities were about to be revealed, but first, they needed to understand exactly how the Valaxians planned to execute their conquest. The Empire of Crystal had finally shown its hand. Now it was humanity's turn to play theirs. The Hidden Blade. Dr. Harrison's hands moved through the quantum-encrypted holographic display, manipulating streams of data gathered over months of patient observation. The Phantom's war room hummed with barely contained power as the ship's true systems ran complex simulations of the Valaxian defense network. "It's beautiful, in a way," she said, highlighting a particular pattern in the data. "Their entire empire runs on crystalline quantum resonance. Every ship, every station, every weapon, all perfectly synchronized through their communication network." Captain Chen studied the display, watching the pulse of information flow through the vast Imperial network. "Their greatest strength and their greatest weakness," First Officer Kumar finished. "They're so convinced of their technological superiority that they've built their entire civilization on a single point of failure." The holographic display showed the complex web of quantum frequencies that connected every piece of Valaxian technology. Their crystalline bodies weren't just their physical form, they were living quantum computers, each one perfectly attuned to the Empire's vast network. "Show me the infection vector," Chen ordered. Harrison manipulated the display, highlighting a specific sequence of quantum signatures. "We've mapped their entire command protocol structure. Their arrogance made it easy. They don't even encrypt communications around human ships because they think we can't detect them." "The virus is ready?" Chen asked, watching simulated data flows pulse through the holographic web. "Ready and tested against all the fragments of their network we've recorded," Harrison confirmed. "Once it enters their quantum resonance network, it will spread through their entire civilization in seconds. Every crystal, every ship, every weapon system, all infected simultaneously." Lieutenant Rodriguez entered the war room, her expression grim. "Flash traffic from Fleet Command, Captain. The Valaxians have accelerated their timeline. They're beginning fleet movements now. Estimated time to invasion positions, 72 hours. Chen's jaw tightened. "Show me." The tactical display updated, showing hundreds of crystalline ships moving into position around human space. Under the guise of routine patrols and diplomatic missions, the Valaxians were preparing to spring their trap. "They're going to try to shut down every piece of human technology simultaneously," Kumar said, studying the deployment patterns. "A perfect, bloodless conquest of a primitive species." "Not quite bloodless," Harrison corrected. "I've decoded more of their command protocols." Once they've disabled our technology, they plan to upgrade humanity by force, literally transforming human bodies into crystalline forms compatible with their network. The war room fell silent as the implications sank in. This wasn't just conquest, it was forced evolution, the complete erasure of human biological identity. We can't wait any longer, Chen decided. We need to deploy the virus now, before they're in position. She turned to Harrison. What's our best vector for infection? The scientist manipulated the display again, highlighting a massive crystalline structure near the heart of Phylaxian space. Their central network hub. All quantum resonance frequencies are synchronized through this facility. If we can introduce the virus there, it will spread through their entire civilization in seconds. Getting anywhere near that hub with an armed vessel would trigger every defense they have, Kumar pointed out. Chen's expression hardened into a fierce smile. Then it's a good thing we're not an armed vessel. We're just a primitive human merchant ship with chronic maintenance problems. How unfortunate that our containment fields are about to suffer a catastrophic failure requiring immediate emergency docking at the nearest Phylaxian facility. Understanding dawned on her officers' faces. The Phantom's carefully crafted reputation for technical incompetence was about to become their greatest weapon. Lieutenant Rodriguez, send a distress call, Chen ordered. Make it convincing. Lots of static, partial sensor failures. Let them think we're barely holding together. Through the neural link, she added. All hands, prepare for final deception protocols. Everything we've worked for comes down to the next 24 hours. The Phantom's outer hull began venting precisely calculated amounts of plasma as its seemingly primitive communication system broadcast a desperate plea for assistance. On the surface, it appeared to be just another example of human technological inadequacy. Deep within the ship's quantum core, systems that had lain dormant for months prepared for activation. The virus that would bring down an empire of crystal waited in the ship's hidden processors, ready to turn the Phylaxians' own arrogance into the weapon of their destruction. Send the distress call to every Phylaxian channel, Chen ordered. Let's make sure they can't resist one last chance to help the poor, primitive humans. The trap was set. Now they just had to hope the Phylaxians' contempt for humanity would blind them to the blade hidden behind the mask of incompetence, right until the moment it struck at their crystalline heart. Breaking point. The Phylaxian central network hub loomed before the Phantom, its crystalline structure stretching for kilometers through space. Emergency lights pulsed across the ship's hull as it approached, venting plasma in carefully controlled bursts that appeared dangerously chaotic to outside observers. Mayday, Mayday, Lieutenant Rodriguez called out, her voice crackling with artificial distortion. This is human merchant vessel Phantom requesting emergency assistance. Containment field failure imminent. Please respond. Captain Chen watched the massive structure grow larger in the viewport, maintaining her outward appearance of barely controlled panic. Through the neural link, she monitored the ship's true status as the quantum core powered up behind its layers of shielding. Multiple crystalline signatures approaching, Kumar reported, his hand shaking convincingly over the outdated controls. 5 rescue vessels, 2 defensive platforms activated. The Phylaxian response was immediate and exactly as predicted. Their thoughts washed over the bridge, leaden with both concern and condescension. Primitive vessel, maintain current position. Do not attempt any maneuvering. Your inferior systems are putting our facility at risk. We're trying, Chen responded, letting desperation seep into her voice. But our containment fields are failing. We can't hold position much longer. The rescue vessels surrounded the Phantom, their crystalline forms pulsing with emergency patterns. Tractor beams locked onto the human ship, and Chen had to suppress a smile as the Phylaxians pulled them directly toward the network hub's main docking facility. Dr. Harrison, status. She sub-vocalized through the secure channel. Virus primed and ready, the scientist replied silently. Their own tractor beams are creating quantum resonance pathways we can exploit. They're literally building us a bridge into their network. The massive docking bay swallowed the Phantom, crystalline emergency teams already assembling to deal with what they thought was another example of human technological failure. Chen could feel their thoughts buzzing with a mixture of concern and amusement. These primitives are becoming a liability, one crystalline technician projected to another. The High Overseer's integration plan cannot come soon enough. The Phantom's hull sparked and vented as the emergency teams approached, putting on a convincing display of systems failure. The Valaxians never noticed that each burst of plasma was precisely calculated, each power surge carefully designed to mask the ship's true activities. Beginning emergency shutdown procedures, Chen announced as crystalline engineers interfaced with the ship's outer hull. "We're so grateful for your assistance." The Valaxian response rippled with patronizing warmth. "Fear not, primitive ones. Our technology will prevent any further deterioration of your vessel's systems." Deep within the Phantom's quantum core, Dr. Harrison watched the infection vectors align. The Valaxians' own emergency protocols were creating multiple access points to their network, each one a potential pathway for the virus. "They're beginning deep scan procedures," Kumar reported through the neural link. "Introducing system irregularities now." The ship's false readings showed exactly what the Valaxians expected to see: outdated technology pushed beyond its limits, crude attempts at replicating crystalline engineering, and desperate jury rigging that would make any advanced civilization cringe. "Remarkable," one of the engineers projected. "Their containment field modifications should never have functioned at all. The sheer inefficiency of their solutions." "Phase 1 complete," Harrison subvocalized. "Their emergency systems have fully interfaced with our hull. Moving to Phase 2. Chen kept the engineers distracted with a series of increasingly desperate questions about proper containment field maintenance, playing perfectly to their sense of superiority. Every moment they spent explaining basic engineering concepts to the primitive humans was another moment for the virus to slip through their defenses. "Warning," the facility's automated systems suddenly announced. "Anomalous quantum signatures detected. Beginning containment procedures." "Now," Chen ordered through the neural link. The virus struck like lightning through a crystalline web. Using the Valaxians' own emergency protocols as a delivery system, it flowed from the Phantom into the network hub's primary systems. The crystalline engineers didn't even have time to register surprise before their own bodies began transmitting the infection through their quantum-linked forms. "Full power to quantum shields," Chen commanded as the facility's systems began to fluctuate. "Prepare for immediate emergency departure." The Valaxian engineers staggered, their crystalline forms pulsing with chaotic patterns as the virus spread through their quantum-linked consciousness. Their thoughts, normally so controlled and superior, dissolved into confusion and fear. What is happening?" one projected weakly. "The resonance, it's changing." Through the Phantom sensors, Chen watched the virus propagate through the facility systems, following the very quantum pathways the Valaxians had built to maintain their empire. Their perfect synchronization was becoming their perfect downfall. "All hands, brace for emergency protocols," she broadcast as crystalline systems began failing throughout the facility. This is not a drill. The trap had been sprung. Now they just had to survive what came next. Empires fall. Chaos erupted through the crystalline facility as the virus spread through the quantum network. The Phantom's hull shimmered as its holographic camouflage finally dropped, revealing the sleek, advanced vessel hidden beneath years of fabricated decay. Emergency sirens wailed as the facility's systems began cascading into failure. "Virus propagation at 60%, Dr. Harrison reported, monitoring the quantum feeds. "The network, it's beautiful, Captain. The virus is using their own synchronization protocols to spread. Every attempt they make to coordinate a response only accelerates the infection." Through the viewport, Chen watched crystalline forms stumbling through the docking bay, their usual grace replaced by erratic movements as the virus corrupted their quantum-linked consciousness. Their thoughts, once so ordered and superior, broadcast confusion and terror across all frequencies. "Status of the fleet," she demanded, watching tactical displays materialize on previously hidden screens. Surveillance drones show widespread disruption, Kumar reported. The invasion fleet. They're falling into chaos. The virus is spreading faster than they can even process what's happening. The facility shuddered as security systems attempted to activate, only to be consumed by the spreading infection. Crystal structures that had stood for centuries began to pulse with unstable energies as their quantum foundations were corrupted. All hands, prepare for immediate departure, Chen ordered. Lieutenant Rodriguez broadcast the surrender demand on all frequencies. The message went out, not in the crude communications they'd pretended to use, but in perfect crystalline quantum patterns, to all Valaxian forces. Your network has been compromised. Your weapons are disabled. Your consciousness itself is vulnerable. Humanity offers you this choice: immediate surrender or complete quantum destabilization. Through the ship's sensors, they watched the virus spread like wildfire through the vast Imperial network. The Valaxians' perfect synchronization, their greatest pride, had become the pathway to their destruction. Every crystal, every ship, every linked consciousness carried the infection further. Incoming transmission, Rodriguez announced. It's the High Overseer himself. Krixtal's thoughts burst across their neural links, no longer smooth and controlled but fragmented with fear. What have you done? This is impossible. You are primitives. You barely understand basic quantum principles. No, Chen responded, letting her voice carry all the strength humanity had hidden for so long. We understood everything. Every inspection, every mockery, every dismissal. You showed us exactly how your systems worked. You were so convinced of our inferiority that you never bothered to hide anything. The tactical display showed the virus reaching critical mass throughout Valaxian space. Ships dropped out of formation, their crystalline crews struggling to maintain basic functions as their quantum-linked minds were overwhelmed by the infection. You would destroy us? Krixtal demanded. Reduce us to mindless crystal. The virus has a kill switch, Chen replied coldly. Unlike your plans for humanity's integration, we're offering you a choice. Surrender, and we provide the cure. Continue to resist, and watch your empire shatter. Through the quantum network, they felt the moment the Valaxian leadership broke. Centuries of superiority crumbled in the face of their own vulnerability. The surrender was transmitted on all frequencies, in all languages. The Empire of Crystal surrendered to the primitives they had dismissed for so long. Transmitting cure protocols, Harrison announced, her fingers dancing through quantum-encrypted displays, maintaining just enough viral load to ensure compliance. The Phantom rose from the docking bay, its true power now fully visible. Around them, the Valaxian facility began to stabilize as the cure took effect, its crystal structures returning to their normal patterns. Message from Fleet Command, Rodriguez reported. The invasion fleet is standing down. Valaxian forces throughout human space are surrendering. Chen watched through the viewport as reality reasserted itself. The mighty Empire of Crystal, brought low not by superior firepower or overwhelming force, but by their own arrogance. They had been so certain of humanity's primitive nature that they never considered they might be seeing exactly what humans wanted them to see. Send word to all human ships, she ordered. The deception is over. No more hiding our true capabilities. As if in response, ships began emerging from hiding throughout human space. Vessels that had played the role of barely functional merchants revealed themselves as advanced warships. Research stations the Valaxians had dismissed as primitive suddenly showed their true nature as cutting-edge military installations. The Valaxians are requesting terms, Kumar reported. Chen's expression was firm, but not cruel. Tell them humanity is willing to negotiate a peaceful coexistence. But first, they're going to dismantle every trace of their integration program, and they're going to acknowledge humanity as equals. The Phantom set course for Earth, its mission finally complete. Behind them, the Empire of Crystal faced a new reality, one where their assumption of superiority had led to their own downfall. They had dismissed humanity as primitives, never realizing that their contempt was the perfect camouflage for the blade that would bring their empire to its knees. In the end, the greatest empire in known space fell not to superior technology or overwhelming force, but to an enemy they never truly saw until it was too late. They had ignored the warship hiding in plain sight, and in doing so, engineered their own defeat.